So, hi, my name is Mohsin.
Nick.
What's your name? Nick. So, what do you believe in?
I'm not 100% sure what I believe in, but I was raised a Christian and I attend Christian church over here, and I found it, and this probably sounds a bit selfish, but I found it a wonderful way of getting involved and volunteering and meeting. I moved over here from the UK 2 years ago, so when I first landed here I didn't really know anyone here, so it was a wonderful way of kind of becoming part of a community and volunteering and things like that. So sometimes I feel a bit guilty that I feel the religion should be more of the central aspect, and that perhaps I'm there for the wrong reasons. But that's how it kind of is for me at the moment.
So you mentioned 100%. You mentioned you're not 100%.
Yeah.
So how much are you? How confident are you?
I don't know. It kind of comes and goes. So some days I feel very committed, and other days I have doubts. And when you see events like the hurricanes and things like that, it brings back the same questions that you always ask, like, if God's omnipotent and all powerful, then why does he let bad things happen, and all the questions that you used to study in religious education at school and things like that. But equally at the same time, when you hear the opportunities and the community, the volunteers that go down there and help, they say God's presence is never more strongly felt than in a time of hardship. And I kind of think it would be nice if you didn't have to have the hardship to get that to happen, but looking at it from a glass half full perspective, if maybe I can't understand the whole thing. So when you see people coming together in times of hardship, it kind of inspires you and makes you, if you're not doing things, feel a bit guilty for not doing more yourself. So,
do you think a God is required for people to come together and help each other?
No, I don't think so, but I think sometimes people need an excuse to come together, and in the same way people can use religion for bad things, like using it as an excuse for war and using it as an excuse for persecution. Sometimes a bunch of strangers need a reason to come together, and it's a bit like sometimes if you're in a lift or an elevator with a bunch of strangers, you all seem like complete strangers, but then if something happens, like the lift gets stuck for 5 minutes, suddenly you all kind of open up and you suddenly realise that you're all actually a lot more similar than you thought. So I don't think you need religion for that to happen, but I think it helps sometimes.
So because it brings people together for a cause, does that make it true? What does that say about the truth of the matter?
I think that I would think you can't argue scientifically that the more, I don't know, maybe you could argue that the more people that believe in something, the more likelihood is true. I mean, then you start getting down to propaganda and marketing and all that kind of stuff.
So correct me if I'm wrong here, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but are you saying you see religion as a utility to bring people together? And like you mentioned yourself when you came here, you found it as a utility to connect with people, and since you were new here, get to know people. Is that what it is?
I guess you could look at it like that. I mean, I think that's one of the benefits of religion, and I think that's sometimes where you see the most good come out of religion, because in the history of the world, a lot of bad things have come out of religion. So, I'm not saying that's the real reason for religion, but I think that is one of the undeniable benefits of religion.
Do you want to believe in true things?
There's part of me that does, yeah. I mean, I was always interested in science, and you always want to find out 100% with certainty whether something's true or not. So.
Right. And this is probably my last question. I don't want you to hold your wine. Do you think we'll be better equipped as human beings if we believed in true things and then used our philosophies or our reality to understand each other better and solve provide solutions for human beings in general, or do you think that religion is still needed with all its archaic beliefs?
Difficult question to answer, really. I'd like to think that human beings could be nice to each other without a reason. And I've watched interviews with Richard Dawkins and things, and you can't deny that some of his arguments are very convincing. And sometimes I see his books in the shop, and part of me wants to read them, and part of me doesn't want to read them because I'm scared of how it would make me feel. So. I don't know. I guess at the end of the day, if something makes human beings come together and have greater understanding, as long as
even if it's not true,
even if it's, I guess. I mean, I think these days there are an increasing number of things in our lives that we're told that aren't true. I mean, we could start talking for hours about politics and election campaigns, and whichever country of the world you're in, when you're doing a campaign, you promise to do lots of things for people that you probably have no intention of doing if you come to power. So I would... if we were going to go down that route, it would be an interesting debate as to how you could prove that something was absolutely true, because even things that you learn at school, like the structure of the atom and things like that, you're told this is the structure of the atom, and then 2 years later you're told, well, that was just what you learned when you're 16. When you're 18 or you're at university, you realise that that wasn't true. So it's an interesting theoretical question. I suppose we would not have to answer whether things were actually true or not. We would just somehow know that they were absolutely true. I would rather have a nice world based on things that weren't true than a horrid world that were based on things that were true. I don't know if that sounds weird or not, but
I think that's a great way to end the...
Well,
I think that's a great note, what you said.
I kind of think whatever brings the most good for the most number of people, but when you start breaking that into detail, it probably hits practical problems. But I just think whatever helps the world come together and be a more peaceful place. I believed in Father Christmas when I was a kid, and I wasn't particularly shattered when I found out he wasn't real, but it didn't stop Christmas being fun for me when I was a kid. So, but I mean, I guess it's a different question if people dedicate their whole lives to something just because, I wonder how, I sometimes wonder, did Mother Teresa or people like that do those things because of religion or because they were just good people and they wanted to help people?
Right.
So maybe we're going full circle back to what you asked.
Yes. It was great talking to you.
And
Thank you so much, Nick.
Thank you.
Bye.